welcome back to the Tight Curls Project podcast. My name is Amiah Burgess, and I am not the host of this podcast, but I am sitting with her. Her name is Shadia Oshodi. Shadia, how are we feeling today?
Thank you so much, Amiah. I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be here with you. Yeah, this is a little different because, as Amiah said, I'm the host, but she is our illustrious intern this summer, the first intern at the Tight Curls Project podcast. And she was critical in getting this off the ground and bringing everything we've created together to you guys. So I really wanted to get a chance to talk with her. So we've done an interview with her, and we thought it'd be great for her to also ask me some questions so you can learn more about who I am, why we're doing this. So thank you, Amiah.
First, yeah, I think it's really imperative that your audience gets to know you, gets to know your hair journey, because at the end of the day, we're creating this community and we want them to know that they're not alone, including the host. She's been there, she's done that. And I think it's important to emphasize that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with your very first question. And that question is, what can't you get enough of right now? We're just going in general. It can be about anything, just easing our way into this.
Yes, I'm really loving, I'm in my smoothie phase again.
Fun.
Yeah.
Flavor.
I think also, what'd you say?
Flavor.
Yeah. I like watermelon and strawberry.
Okay.
So that's one I've been doing just with fresh fruit, and it's really nice. It's kind of fun to try to figure out how to make it interesting with the fruit mixes. I did a matcha one, coffee smoothie. So you get a little hit of caffeine to start the day. So that's been fun. I've been just smoothing it up.
That's a cool summer activity.
Oh, I see what you did there, yes.
Okay, so now I want to move more into your background and more specifically where you went to school and what things you were interested in growing up.
Yeah, I think as a little kid, I always liked making things like crafts. I had a craft club. We would try to sell really little puzzles we made and little loom woven pot holders and friendship bracelets and all that kind of stuff. So I was really into arts and crafts in high school and tried to sew and make different bags and things. I also like science. So I think always art and science was really interesting to me. And I was thinking about going to school for fashion and design, but I ended up going to school for biomedical engineering. So very similar.
Super similar.
I always was interested in the application of science and technology to the body. Never wanted to be a doctor. I knew that. But could you bring technology to help for different things, whether that's drugs or just different ways you could interact with biology? And that kind of carried forward through college. And I worked in a lab and did research. And then I ended up going to working in biopharmaceuticals. I did that for a big part of my career, and developing processes for how to make drugs and grow cells and figuring out the nutrients and the formulations to get them to make drugs and protein. So that was something that was really interesting to me because I like the challenges of that. It's pretty creative, even though it sounds like maybe not.
Arts and sciences, honestly, they go hand in hand. People realize, and you really can't have one without the other. Some people may disagree, but that's where I stand on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because this is creative. I would get in there, and that the limitations you have. I think even with art, you have limitations, whether it's your canvas or the medium or what it can do, and how do you make something
manipulate
it, and take the best out of it to create something new. And I think it's the same with the research. So I was fortunate to be able to work on projects where I had several patents for the technologies I developed. And I really love something that's a challenging problem. How do you solve it? This is going to be meaningful in some way, and figuring out how to create a solution. So I think that has been something that's very consistent. I worked in biopharmaceuticals, and I worked in making new materials at a company, trying to make materials for new applications without animals. And then I worked in food, and I love food. And I think that's also going to the art side. I love to eat it. I love to talk about it. I love to read about it. That was
her treats are top notch.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I love food, and I was trying to figure out how to marry science and food. And then I worked in innovation. So how do you bring new technologies with food to make more clean label foods? Or are you thinking about sustainability in the future? What do you need to be able to make sure you have the ingredients you need as we have a changing climate? So I really like the creativity of trying to find solutions and bring things together. So that's something that I see a through line, whether that's in art or food or science. So that's just, I think, what excites me a lot.
Wow, this sounds like a lot of sciencey lingo that I don't know too much about. And honestly, this feels so like it feels like you've really departed from the science world. I know as I've been through this internship that that's not necessarily true, but how did you get into hair? You know, you have this science background, and I feel like that beauty space and science space doesn't always seem like the directly connected.
Yeah.
But so how did you get into that?
Yeah, I got into hair out of my own experience. I think especially during the COVID times, the COVID years, I'd already been natural since 2014, and I was doing a lot of my hair at home. And I realized there's some challenges I had. So first I was trying to make my own remedies for dandruff. So I was like, this dandruff shampoo is not working. People say put oil on your scalp. People say don't put oil on your scalp. Let me do some research. And I remember I was thinking back to this. I was reading papers to really understand what happens in the scalp and different theories on how dandruff is created. So I got deep into the science and I started making my own oils. That wasn't really what got me interested in pursuing this as a career, in the hair space, but that was really just my own frustration of trying to blow dry my hair. I have a lot of hair. It's very tightly curled. And even if I wanted to wear braids or wear it in a different style, I was having neck pains from blow drying, holding that blow dryer for 2 hours over my head, like literally for days, because I already had some neck sensitivities. And I was just thinking about the tools that are there. There's nothing really that makes it easier. And even if I wanted to twist out, all my stylists were saying, you can't do a twist out on wet hair. You need to blow dry your hair first. So I'm like, I got to blow dry my hair before I twist it, and then I got to dry it. I'm like, I don't have the time.
And then you got to take it out.
And you got to take it out, and then you have processing time for the whole day.
Does that last you?
I know. And if you do it wrong, you just got a little poof because it didn't work out, and you just got some sad twists, and you got to figure out creativity. And I like being creative.
And we're hearing that.
Yeah. But still, I was like, there's got to be a different way. So I started thinking about this problem, and I started to look into, can you build something better that's actually going to be helpful to hair? And then that really started me thinking, as an engineer, I'm really reading and understanding what happens to your hair. So that brings in the science, because there's research, basic research, applied research on hair, on blow dryers, on heats. And I got really deep on that. And that was one element. But the other is, I also went to business school. I worked in innovation, where you're trying to not just make something cool, but bring it to actual life, to people, solve problems people care about. And you could, make a business out of that's going to be sustainable. So I was very early on decided I need to talk to other people. I know this is hard for me, but what other people say? Let's have interviews and talk to people, understand their hair care experience, and see if this even comes up unprompted.
And I'm not going to lie, I've talked to my parents, family, and relatives about what you're doing, and they are so excited. They're like, okay, so when can I sign up? Where can I get on the waiting list? Because they feel the same frustrations that you feel, and I'm sure that our listeners agree, or else they wouldn't be tuned in.
Yeah, thank you. And I that really came up and it resonated with me, because when I tell other people with tightly curled hair, often Black women, like, oh, I'm building this, they said, oh, can I be a tester? So to me, that shows that the problem is understood, but it's a bit hidden in plain sight, because not everybody knows, or we get used to it. We get used to it being painful. You get used to it taking a long time, or it's just something we push through. And people have various degrees of experiences, because some people have less hair and it's not as painful, or they have a texture where it's easier to work out, or you just have more skills. Some people can do it more easily than others. So anyway, along this journey, I realized a lot of people had questions, and that surprised me, because I talked to people who have been natural for a decade, longer. They just felt like, I do this with my hair and I get some information, but it felt like a lot of people wish there was more information that they could trust that was actually relevant to them. And that really resonated with me. There's an education piece. And if you're doing something for our hair and our needs, I want to make sure that it's founded in science and also the real life experience. So I think bringing that together, being able to understand the science, and also in someone who's personally experienced what it's like to deal with textured hair, not just in theory, but as an individual who's not a stylist, but just a regular person who cares and wants to learn. I'm not a master braider. It's like there's degrees to the skills, right. I feel like I have some skill, but I'm not someone who is going to be a home stylist. So really trying to carry those perspectives forward. And the podcast really came about because I was thinking about all this stuff I was learning, all this information I was learning from reading journals, from reading articles, from talking to leading scientists. A lot of information about tightly curled hair and caring for hair is not readily accessible to the public, because it is in journals and it's in trade information.
Locked behind paywalls.
Locked behind paywalls. So I had to pay for these conference presentations. And this is not even what's getting into cosmetology books. It's not often getting to stylists. A lot of great stylists understand this because there is an art and a science to taking care of hair. I fully believe that and respect the skills of stylists. So a lot of people can tell you, oh, this is why you do this. This is why your hair needs to be. We know maybe if you blow dried your hair a lot, it's easier to blow dry it when it's really wet because you're reshaping hydrogen bonds and you need that water to reshape your hair and dry it in a certain structure. So you can perceive that. And I think a lot of good stylists intuit and understand this from experience, but having the language behind it and also be able to communicate that to other people and go a little deeper into the whys and to help us make better connections. Because if you have both an experience and you have the knowledge, you have a lot of power to create new things. So I think this will, and that might be just creating a better regime for yourself. So the podcast started with that idea about bringing that information. But what's been really interesting is that it turned into an interview podcast as well. And I think just even interviewing people, it's been really exciting because when you're trying to build something, you're focused on problem. How do you solve it? But it's also amazing because tightly curled hair and what it can do is so unique. It's so versatile. People are really expressing themselves, finding a way to live and move in this world that's true to who they are and what they want to do. And hearing those stories is so encouraging and also inspiring and just fun. So I really like having both those sides and what we're trying to build in the Tight Curl Project podcast, the Tight Curl Project podcast.
And I think you began touching on a little bit, and I know we're jumping around, but I did wonder, like, you landed on podcasts and we were talking about that. Do you want to go into it a little bit more? Why podcast versus other forms and modes of education?
Yeah, I think the podcast, because a lot of people, a podcast can hit both people who like to listen to things. So I love listening to podcasts. Give me a good podcast. I can clean anything, get it done, driving, commuting. Other people like the visual form. And I think having the ability to show images and pictures, especially when you're explaining something or point to your own hair, I think is really helpful. And I think I want it to feel two ways versus me just always talking to the screen. And I think inviting people in and having conversations is really interesting and dynamic. And I think I like talking more than I like writing. So
I get that.
That was something that was appealing, or a course, right? So I think there's options and opportunities to engage people in other ways, but the podcast just felt like the natural way because we talk about our hair. That's the natural thing we do. How did you get that style? Tell me about it. Who's your stylist? Oh, it's so annoying when we do this. I really like that. And I think that just fits just the community. And that's why it's a project, because it's not something that's done. This is evolving. We're learning and bringing information together because even the scientific community, there's a lot that is unknown. And it's because a lot of researchers aren't focused on tightly curled hair. And there's more science that's coming, but really, again, bringing that to what does that mean practically? How is that meaningful to people's experience and what they can do? I think there's a lot that can come together and having it be a multifaceted conversation.
Yeah, and I love that. You mentioned your hair, and I would love to switch gears and talk about your hair, actually.
Okay.
I'm sure the viewers or the listeners would love to know where you're at in your hair journey. And I know that you have some pictures. I would love if you pull those up and let's just go through where you've been, the stops you've taken, and just take us through that journey.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, let's get into this. What's going on here?
So I was pulling together pictures, and this is not going to my childhood, but really when I think about my hair journey, obviously you're always learning things, and as you grow, your hair's going to change. But I really am starting here because after I went natural, I had to figure out, as someone who loves to travel, loves to go around the world, experience different things, how am I going to wear my hair in a way when I'm traveling that makes sense for what I want to do and it lets me do what I want to do? And this is the first time I think I did a 2-strand twist. This is back in 2015. It was 2016. I went to New Zealand.
Okay.
So I was in New Zealand traveling around both islands, and there's glaciers in the background. We were on the beach. I mean, you got everything there. We were doing a little hiking. And I wanted to be able to wear my hair in a way that was going to be easy. So I could go in the water, get out. And I just twisted my own hair, and it worked for this trip. And it was just really easy. And I hadn't really seen that many twists at that time, but I was like, let me just do this. I can do this at home. I got twists at home. So that's what happened.
I got twists at home. I heard that one.
And then moving on, this is the trip I took. Yeah. Sure. I was a bridesmaid. I mean, I guess that's what it was, even though it was a traditional Indian wedding. And one of my best friend's weddings in New Delhi. And I got there with a plan. I blow dry my hair. You know, I was moving and shaking. I was in business school at the time, so I didn't have much time. I'm like, I'm going to flat iron my hair when I get there. And that humidity had other plans. You know, I got there and I said, why would I do this? It's so humid. My blow dried hair was very voluminous. So I just decided to do a pulled back knot, and I wore my hair in voluminous twists the whole time. But it worked for the environment, because I got there and realized I had never been to India. So I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I thought,
as a Texas native, I can imagine
yes.
what this is like.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why I wasn't really messing with my natural hair out there.
Yeah.
And I'm imagining it's the same reasons as to why.
Yes. And I just kept on going. And this is just another picture. I did this. You can see here my silhouette. We're at this monsoon palace, which is known for where they went during the rains. And there's some monkeys around the corner there that came out when it was like feeding time. It was fun. But you can see I got the puff rocking and just kept doing my own thing. And it was easy. So then here, this is the first time I wore my hair without twist or braids or anything to the beach. And I was in Playa del Carmen area of Mexico for an all-inclusive. I had starting a new job and I had a couple days. I said, let me take myself to the beach.
As you should.
Yes. So that was really easy. I just wore the puff. I think I wore it just out as a little fro and swam, got in the ocean. I always am going to get in the ocean. And it was my first time doing that, just feeling like I can just wear my hair as it is. I don't have to go to a salon, and then I can keep on going. And it worked out, even though the puffs are really tight. It looks cute, but headache zone.
Especially with that shrinkage sometimes.
Yeah,
it
just
just
pull it
doesn't
together.
Want to do that, which is annoying.
It says, we're not trying to get together. So it worked, but it was tight. So, my eyes looked, a little more up tilted. It gives you a nice snatch look on your face.
I know what you mean.
And this is another time when I was trying to do my wash and go. This is pre a lot of the online people talking about how to section and do the wash and goes. I had all this hair. I said, just let me slap some gel on in the shower. And,
we've talked about the wash and go pretty extensively, like on our side conversations. And I mentioned how much I loved how much definition you were able to get here.
Yeah.
But obviously, with wash and goes, you want a balance of retention of length. You want the definition, and you want it to frame your face well. So there's so much things that go into that. But then at the same time, how long does it last?
Yeah, this was hard. I think I was doing a lot of bike riding. So after day 1 or 2, I think I had to put a steamer on this to get my helmet on. But I think it came out with this definition because it was hot outside at the time. So I got faster drying. I didn't have a hood dryer, just being out in the sun. And that looked really nice. But I stopped doing this because it would take me 2 hours to dry my hair. So I rarely do this wash and go, but I think I recorded an episode with that. And it was taking it back. I got it done in the salon. I was like, oh, okay. I like this. Then the drying time reminded me what makes it challenging for me particularly. Another hot trip. Puerto Rico. I don't think I went in with the expectation to have straight hair. So I did this flat twist. And this is something I just learned, even though I, would often twist my hair in the front. It became a flat twist. One day my fingers just did it. Like literally I would be trying to twist it. It would be like more like a tube because I didn't know how to do the 2-strand twist. I would just kind of rolled it back. And then one day I said, what happened? It clicked. So that was fun. And then I swam that time as well. And then this is how I would often wear my hair. I used to live in New Jersey till I moved to North Carolina 2 years ago.
This is how I met you, I think.
Oh.
This is the hair that I met you in, I think.
That's funny.
Absolutely.
So it's in between a blowout and like a light press. And then often I'll do like a Bantu knot. This is in Kenya. We're in Mount Kenya. There's a peacock, and we were just walking the grounds, and it would be a time of the day, and all the animals would come out, the monkeys, the baboons, the peacocks. It was just the crazy birds. They're about 4 feet tall. And we just walk around in Kenya. I think I did research this. It was low humidity. This is in March. So I said, I can do this hair here. And it worked. I just did the Bantu knots the whole time. And it was really just easy. But again, I have to think about what's the weather? How's it going to impact your hair?
I love that you're debunking myths that it's hot everywhere in Africa.
Yeah.
Love that.
You see what I'm wearing, you know?
Absolutely.
And these are braids I did where I got some color mixed in. I hadn't really played around with it. This is some knotless braids. I was late to learning about knotless braids. I was like, we're not doing the knots anymore?
I feel like I was late too.
Yeah. No one told me. And then someone was, what? So I got these done, and this was in Mallorca. So we went on a hike. The first day we were like jumping off boats and swimming every day. And this was really an easy style. I also liked that the color was kind of subtle. I had done some before where it had the ombre, the blonde at the end. I worked at a conservative place. So it would be funny because like it would look black or natural color, then it's bright blonde at the end. But I was sitting down most times, so it was fun. I think for me that was the first time I ever had color. This was fun.
I love a good splash of color. This color is actually gorgeous on you. By the way.
Thank you.
It's like kind of an ashy. I love being blonde. Stay tuned to figure out why.
Oh yeah.
I think this looks like a ashy blonde, and I love this color. Yeah.
Thank you. It was fun. This is back in New Jersey with my regular stylist, and I think I was always doing curls. And one day she said, "You want to try waves?" And I said, "Let's get with the 2020s. Let's do the waves." And I liked how it came out with the waves because I was usually doing more straight down traditional curls, and I was like, "Let's give this a whirl." I've tried to do this my own. They don't come out this nice, but I really like that, and this would last me. In New Jersey, it was 2 weeks, you know? And then this is me giving twist outs another round of twist outs on wet hair, even though all stylists told me that for my hair, I needed to. And it would be every time I'd be like, I tried these twist outs working with my stylist. She's like, you need to do more. How many? 20 twist. And I would just not want to do that.
Work is work. If you want like the defined curls, that's work.
So this was one I did for, I think it was New Year's Eve, and it lasted a little bit. And that was with one of my best friends, Delali. She's probably going to be like, what? I'm in your podcast area. She has very beautiful locks, and I hope she'll be on our podcast one time because she said, not for me. I'm going to do low maintenance and fierce, and she's achieved that. This is now in North Carolina, and basically I did my own hair. I was going to my college reunion. I said, you know what, let me try. And I have a different flat iron that has a lower temperature, so you don't get it as straight, but I feel like it's healthier for my hair. And I was able to, I think I hadn't done a lot of the high half up. And I was able to get a good outcome that I was happy with. I said, okay, you could do a little something.
Yeah, looks good here.
Thanks. And then this is the last picture. This was last summer when I went to Montana and Wyoming, and I have a lot of hair and I have a big head. So hats, sometimes like when I get a cap, I've Googled like big head hats and then gotten that online. That's how I got like my ball caps and stuff. Yeah. So I went to a Western store because my friend wanted to check it out, and they said they have hats of all sizes. And I picked one up and it fit. I was like, this suits me. And my hair was straight because it was low humidity and I could do that. We had went rafting that day down the Snake River. So it still lasted without any issue. And I got my cowboy hat, and you know, I can't wear it with this hair, but you said I could wear a cowboy hat with
You absolutely can wear cowboy hats with braids, as I do. There's so much evidence.
Yes. Okay.
I love that style. It's like, I'm still country. Like, y'all can't take that away from me. It's getting it's very Beyonce of us. Like,
ooh, do you have cowboy boots?
I need them. That's on my birthday list, actually.
Okay.
My birthday is soon. So
keep it. Yes.
I've already let my parents know, like, I have to have the boots. What do you need boots for? I'm country. Like,
I think necessary. You need the boots. You're a Texas girl.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I need to complete the look. And I have boots. You know, I've got the typical knee high. And they're honestly pointed like cowboy boots, but I digress. Well, thank you for sharing those. I think what I really got out of that is that I need to travel. You know, I'm still young, so I have some time. But I think I need to get out and explore the world, because I was over there gawking at peacocks. I was like, wow.
Yes.
Like, you really
check the humidity, check the climate, check your style. You might be surprised. You know.
Clearly, I need to add some things to my bucket list. But let's go ahead and switch gears. Let's get back to talking about the podcast. And I want the viewers and listeners to know what this podcast is going to be about. What's your MO and the direction that this is heading?
Yeah, I think the podcast is really going to be about tightly curled hair. And when I say that, what does that mean? I think whatever you think it means, but really what I have in mind is people who have very small curls. If your curl's diameter is the size of a pencil or smaller, pencil is pen spring. I think I have more pen spring curls, but pencil size curls. Anybody who's got tight curls, because that is where a lot of the information and behaviors of hair changes, and it's different. You know, curly is a continuum, but I think there's a lot of knowledge that I can share, conversations we can have as you think about tightly curled hair, all the things it can do. And those are the stories that I'm excited to highlight and talk about, and also the science that I want to share, the information, the tips, and the voices I want to bring, because yeah, it's delicate sometimes. It feels delicate. Some other times people feel like they can take a lot and their hair is really rough, but the reality is the tighter the curl, the more complexity is in the structure, and it does have special needs to thrive and to be healthy. So I want to talk about all of that and really bring in a lot of people, interesting people.
Yeah. And how has it been prepping for this podcast? And like, how has this expanded your hair knowledge, your hair journey, just interacting with different women, gaining more and more knowledge as you develop a product and get ready to share?
Yeah, I think, like I was saying before, I focus a lot on the challenges and what's not there in the work, because you're trying to find needs and meet needs. So that requires understanding the problems and the shortcomings and what's hard and what's not working, because you're trying to make things better. So I think the conversations have really just highlighted what's beautiful, what's great, how people are just enjoying what they have and, really making impact on their communities, their kids, and being in places where maybe there's not a lot of people with hair like you. And one of the interviews, someone said, I realized I was the only person who looked like me there. So I'm going to do what works for me, and they can just adapt around me.
Period.
And I love that. And I see that. And that was really powerful. So it's really inspired me and made me excited to bring more of these stories. Yes, because I think, having tightly curled hair, it does require to think about it and do things. And sometimes it takes more time than we want, or, we have to baby it or pay more attention to it, but it's pretty amazing. And I think there's a lot of fun we can have and just seeing other people's experiences and being inspired and encouraged and seen, and feel like you're in a safe place to talk about all things hair and the people who are living their lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that you've recorded a couple episodes now. Do you have any favorite memories or just things that keep coming up that you're really, really loving and you're excited to share?
I think we have a great conversation coming up. You as an athlete, you're going to learn about her signature style. And I just love that as a young person, that you are just really enjoying your hair and excited about what you can do and don't see limitations. And I think things have changed because people are wearing braids again. Like, braids weren't as big for a long time, and there's so many new styles, and just the community you have at school is really interesting. I think also just hearing from people who are really creative and also are changing it, dyeing it, cutting it short, long, and just playing. So I really think those are really great elements. And then also just the tips I'm going to be bringing about braids and caring for braids and heat. There's so many questions about heat. So I'm really excited to talk about that, because I've gone deep on that. And I think that can be really helpful as we think about heat in our hair. It's not just good, bad. There's a lot of things we can incorporate in our regime that are going to just make it more straightforward, less stress, more ease.
I absolutely love that. And kind of just, we're wrapping it up now, but as this podcast grows, because I truly believe in this vision, what do you hope people get, and how do you hope to grow?
I think I would love for people just to feel like they can get answers to their questions. They can be around people who aren't going to say things that maybe diminish the challenges they have, but acknowledge them and help find solutions. And to take away some of the sense of whatever works for your hair. But that if someone says that to you, sometimes you don't know what that means, but helping people to know and be empowered to do what is best for their hair. How do you know what that is? And I think this could be a really great place for people like us who are women doing their hair, also for stylists, and people are caring for others with tightly curled hair, their kids, grandkids, family members. And I really want to have more conversations with experts. So I've talked to some of these experts, but I'm excited to bring those on and bring those people in the conversation, and also entrepreneurs who are making products for tightly curled hair, whether that's new hair care products or styling tools or, salon owners. So I'm really excited to just make this a conversation, a safe and smart and fun place to talk about hair and to be empowered, encouraged, to be seen, for it to be just a place to kick back. I think
for sure.
So, this is not going to be a high stress podcast. It's going to be something you can listen to, learn something, have fun, and really build a community around people who are interested and trustworthy information and conversations.
Love that. Love that. So that is actually just about all the questions I have for you. I think the last thing is the plugs. Where can we see the Tight Curl Project podcast content? What socials are we using?
Yes, we are on Instagram. We're on Facebook. You can also find us on TikTok, Substack. So Amiah has started.
Counts, by the way.
She sure did. She sure did.
I actually knew the answer to the question. So I had to ask.
Yes. So we have Substack, and that's a great place to read some more about the post, engage with us. We love to hear from people. So you can contact us through the Substack, also on social media. But we want to know what people want to hear, on the podcast. And there's going to be additional stories also on Substack coming soon. So check it out, because we want to hear from you and hear your hair stories. So yeah, I think those are all the platforms. Just engage with us, follow us. We're really excited. We want to hear this is a conversation. It's a project, so it's not one way. So we want it to be a place where you can just have a community of people who care about hair.
Thank you, Shadia. Thank you for letting me host. Thanks, listeners, for listening. It has been a joy and a pleasure to work here this past summer and to do this. So thank you for including me.
Thank you, Amiah. All right. Thanks, everyone. I'm Shadia Oshodi.
And I'm Amiah Burgess.
All right. Till next time. Bye.